Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit up here, back again with Fade Zero. We are on episode 9 of season 1, and in the last episode we finished up, I'm assuming, I think it was like, yeah, probably the end of the mana attack, right? So, yeah, it ended off pretty heart in throat, with Iri almost on death's door. I was not going to be a happy bunny if that had happened. And that was due to Kira, right? I mean, yeah, it was an odd one because to me, I did do that whole thing about how I kind of have him like on the low, like on the highest end of the evil scale, right? I mean, it is a tough one because, you know, they were getting in the way of his kind of mission, but, you know, I feel like his mission isn't so... I don't know, there's not a lot of good intentions behind his mission, I feel like, so, you know, it's one of those things. But yeah. And a big thing as well is that Kenneth is fucked. I don't know to what degree yet. I can kind of see in it being, like, pretty bad. Like he's not going to be able to function, like, at all. It could be a thing where, like, his magical circuitry is fucked for ever, and he'll not be able to, like, you know, use it anymore, which that is worse than dying for him, I guarantee. Considering what we know about the guy, you know, he was very sort of proud about that fact, and you know, he was basically up his own arse because of that. So if he's lost that and he's still alive, that is like worse than death for that guy, I guarantee. So we'll see what goes on with that if that's brought up. And yeah, I think that is pretty much all we need to talk about. Yep. So we're going to get in episode 9 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 9. Right, yeah, another really good episode. Really enjoying these. Just at the end there, that whole thing about, you know, it flashing back to Archer talking about how Tokiomi is insufferable and whatnot, and it's true because we haven't seen it. Like, he talks about dignity and, you know, the fact that it's required in even fights and whatnot, but he's the guy who hides, like, and plans behind closed doors. You know what I mean? Now, me, myself, I'm not like, you know, I'm not going to sit back and say, like, you know, oh, it's dastardly what they're doing. I can look at, like, someone like Saber or Lancer or like Ryder and be like, you know what it is? Right, it's honourable to go, you know, up front without any tricks or anything like that. You know, and I can see that, but I'm not one that's like, I'm going to lambast somebody because they plan and strategize and stuff like that, because I mean, when it comes down to it, you know what I mean, there's a sort of, there are lines, right, that should not be crossed, I believe, absolutely. So it's not all really sort of like all's fair in love and war, but I think, you know what I mean, that you can go past that line of, like, you know, not having to be honourable about, like, upfront about everything, you know, strategize and be tactful, you know. I think all that's fair game. So, you know, I'm not going to lambast him for that, but it can be considered fairly hypocritical what Tokiomi says versus what he actually does, because what he does is very little. I mean, he just basically uses Kyrie as his sort of as his eyes, for one thing. You know, how things are going, while he just sits back and does what exactly, you know? I mean, yeah, he orders him around, so he has some indication of what he's doing in his head, but, you know, I think I have something specifically against what Tokiomi is doing, because I don't think he backs up what he says with words. I think, you know, I would be absolutely fine with what he was doing if he was, like, upfront about it, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I feel like with so much at stake, I think what he's doing you know, as just being strategic and hanging back and whatnot. But when you talk about, you know, even fights and, you know, shit like that, I don't know. As I'm recording this, was the day that Code Geass, the finale, was released to the public. And bringing that sort of into the fold, like, you know, I'm the kind of person that likes a leader like Lelouch. One who's going to go out and in front, you know what I mean? And actually fight alongside like everyone else. And not just like sort of hang back and let grunts do the work. I think there's a real level of admirability. It is very admirable for, you know, for someone to do that. And they can be admirable by, you know, doing, you know, being strategic and whatnot. But yeah, it's an interesting one. And obviously with Kirei remembering back to what Archer said there, I think it's only a matter of time before they come as a like go head to head kind of thing. Because let's be honest, it's not going to come down to those two, is it? It's not. If it is, I'd be very surprised. And I would have to give the show props for like letting that like be the case, because you know, sometimes like a lot of the time in story you kind of have to sacrifice that idea that, oh shit, you can't see what's coming, you know what I mean? You can't just, because a story has to be satisfying as well, and you're not really going to be satisfied if the obvious, like if the you know, if the outcome is because, oh, these two work together and therefore it's, you know what I mean? Like it's logical that would probably happen in real life. You know, you have the extra numbers, so, you know what I mean, you're able to team up and take out the rest before going against yourselves. It would be logical, but as a sort of story, it can be very unsatisfying. So they can't just go that way. They still could. I mean, I haven't watched it, so I don't know. You know, a lot of the time it can just be the journey and not the destination, right? So you never know, but I don't think that's going to be the case. It's not going to come down to Tokiomi and Kirei being the last two. I mean, I just find it funny that those two, like those two agreed to that kind of thing. I mean, yeah, it just gives them both an opportunity, but at some point they're going to have to go against each other. I mean, that's just going to have to happen unless one of them dies beforehand, which, you know. But yeah. So we had Diamweeds, which at the very beginning, which I really liked, and especially the fact that they've worked his legend and his actual like story in the past to what is happening now, and it's pretty much exactly the same, except the sort of the reasoning behind his decisions are different. I think back in that day it was more like for love, and it was maybe a bit more of a selfish kind of thing on his end, whereas now he's doing it specifically for his master. Whether Kenneth will see that or not, I don't know, but at the end of the day he doesn't have any power now anyway. He can't, you know. But yeah, I was looking at her eyes beforehand, before it pointed out like, oh, she looks like us, or the same eyes that she had, and I was like, yeah, this is a very similar sort of thing cropping up here. I find it interesting that it was Kenneth, like that was a dream of Kenneth's. At the beginning, because the first scene, or the first shot, is literally Lancer fucking down on the ground. I was like, oh fuck, is this going to be a thing where like this is his last episode, and like he has what's going to happen at the end of the episode here, and then it begins the episode. That's how we get up to that point. And we're just looking through his eyes of like what happened in the past kind of thing. But it's not. It was just Kenneth's dream, and it's interesting that because now I'm figuring they're more connected to their servant than I initially thought. Like they're connected on a more conscious level, like that they're able to, like he's able to see Lancer's dreams. I mean, there's no way that he could ever have seen that. There's no way. So there must be, on a conscious level, they must be connected, like more than not. And I wonder if this is just specifically for Diamweed, if this is like a thing of like, alright, Diamweed is having, like, obviously because they have their own stories and different things that make their story like interesting. all of the different servants and masters and whatnot. I'm wondering if Diomedes is the one that is specifically related to his past and like how. I feel like it should. I feel like, you know, because you can't just go around everyone and being like, oh, all of the servants are all basically reliving their legend, their past life. Because I think, you know, it ruins the sort of. I don't think it'll be good to do them all like that. So I think having one of them have it that way is a good idea. So yeah, it was cool though. I love the perspective of that. Like I love being able to see their legend play out, like on the screen, because I wasn't sure if that was going to be the case. I thought it was just going to be the case of like, oh, they harken back, and like when they're conversating with other people, like they'll, you know, say like, oh, like what happened back then. But I didn't know we were going to get the actual thing, which I really like. And actually, what I would like to happen is, because I imagine the way the show's going to go is that, you know, one by one, masters and servants are kind of good, like they're going to drop until we get to like a final like 1v1 kind of thing. If that's the case, I would like each servant to have that moment of like going back and like seeing them as a character like interact with those kind of like, you know, in their past life and see what was happening, because that'd be good, especially with Saber, considering she's I can't remember, was that answered? Was this a thing where like she was just like sort of gender bent for Saber, but she was actually King Arthur in the past? Or is this the alternate universe, like where like King Arthur was actually a girl? I can't remember. If someone can if someone can like tell me that in the comments. Basically, I want to know if in this universe was King Arthur actually a woman, or was she just like, she just turned out to be a woman. I think in this universe she was a woman, right? I think so. But you'll have to correct me on that if I'm wrong. So you can pass on command. I didn't even think that was a thing. Like that's mental. And the fact, how many times could you do that? Like, could you just keep passing shit on? You know what I mean? Because if that's the case, like, there's got to be a limit. There has to be. Because I'm thinking, like, because you could just set it up, right? Where, like, if you're in danger, pass it to somebody else. Ensure that that is still a thing, you know? I don't know. Cool, though. Yeah, I was right. Right on the money before the episode started that it was a case that you couldn't, I mean, you know, not like it was hard to figure out, considering everything that actually told us in the last episode, like, you know, that it cuts off all the magical circuitry, that he can't cast another spell ever again. However, again, if he gets the fucking Holy Grail, that's the wish that can be granted. Thing is, though, Sola's now got it, and you can tell just by the way she is, that's not what she wants. She even like you know, was talking about how because you know, like, what, you don't trust me, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, think about it. Why would I want to risk that whole thing of being a part of the Archibald family, when in reality, if she was to get the fucking Holy Grail anyway, she could just wish for something that means that she doesn't need the Archibald family for whatever it is, you know, that fucking, you know, that credibility or anything like that. She could just wish for something like that, or wish for something even better. So, you know, you could tell just by the way she's acting that she's in it for herself. And honestly, feel bad for Kenneth. I mean, you know, you can sit here and just be like, oh yeah, he deserves it because of how much of a dick he is. I mean, yeah, he's out for himself, I guess, you know what I mean? But, like, it's not like I'm sitting here, he's not as, you know, he's not as bad as Castor, is he? You know what I mean? Or Runescare. So you know, I mean, you have to fucking feel for him. He's lost that ability to fucking win the Holy Grail, because, let's be honest, he's not going to win it. You know what I mean? He's lost all of his ability to cast these magics, so he's lost that. He just doesn't have a reason to live anymore. Like, he's holding out hope that Sola will go through with it. I mean, you didn't even want to give it away. She fucking threatened to cut off his arm if that was the case. Like, I don't know what was that deal with fucking, because honestly, if you do that and you're like, you know what I mean, and he didn't feel it, he just fine. But I guess she healed it at the same rate, so he never felt it. But I guess she was just making a statement, like, this is kind of what I have to do, you know what I mean? Like, even if I was to do this, it can't be over, but if I cut off your fucking arm. Bitch. But yeah, it's a new sort of goal that he's hoping for, that, you know, that he's able to get it back by, which is interesting considering if that's the wish that he desires, if he was to win it and that was the wish that he wanted, it might as well have just been that he'd never fucking signed up for it in the first place, because he'll just be back to where he was at the beginning. Like, you know what I mean? Great, I'm just what I was before, which makes me wonder what his first goal was. Like, what was his first wish? I don't know if we'll get it, but I like the faded command spell as well. The, you know, how it's sort of like, I kind of imagine it as like one of those like stick-on tattoo things that you're just like, you know, that it's just a fake tattoo thing, but you pour water over it and you let it set and you take it off and it's a tattoo, and then you rub it off and it, like, you know, it becomes like faded. That's kind of how I imagine it. Also, do each of the command spells have the different, I don't know if each of they must do, right? The different servants must have a different emblem, right? Because I think I saw like a difference between, was it Waivers we got to see here and Cainith's? I think they both had different ones. But yeah. Yeah, and also Waiver as well. Testing the water, that's good. I like seeing that. I like it when, you know, it's not a case of like, oh, the master's just absolutely useless and does nothing. You know what I mean? He's able to sort of, you know, he's a smart kid, and he's using that knowledge. He's able to figure out where Caster's place was, and he has light pills. He has little pills. He throw them that light up. Why the pills? Weird, but you know, that's what it is. And they now know of Assassin as well, which I'm kind of interested to see. Who's aware of Assassin? I'm sure Emir is, right? Emir knows. And Waver and Ryder know. And I think that's it, right? Obviously, yeah, obviously Tokyomi knows. Yeah. So, Caster doesn't know. And Cainith and whatnot don't know. And, Carrier. Okay. Be interesting to see if Ryder and Waver decide to keep that to themselves, or not, because it could be an advantage. But yeah, we'll have to see. But that is all for episode 9. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I have links to certain things. One is the Discord. I urge everyone to go over there. You know, come over and chat with the community and me as well, because I'm over there. My website, SirMonkeySuit.com. That is where all my content is stored. Everything I've reacted to is there. So get yourself over there, become a member, and go to the forum. There is a reaction recommendation page where you can put your own show in there, and then the top 10 liked of those shows will be put into a poll, and yeah, whatever wins of that will be the next show that I react to. Okay, whenever that comes up. So make sure you do that. And Patreon, so if you do want to support me, that would be very much appreciated. There's a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. There's early access, $5 a month. You gain access to all the shows I do a week early. And also for Fate and Psychopass, or whatever precedes Psychopass, you actually get 4 videos of those a week. Okay, so if you're coming from more reactions more frequently, make sure you get that early access. $10 a month, that's a full length, so you get full unedited reactions to everything I do. Everything I react to gets a full length. Exclusive tier, that's the $15 a month. That basically gives you access to a bonus show, which I'm currently reacting to, which as of recording this is Mob Psycho 100, but by the time this goes out on YouTube for the general public, it'll be something else, so make sure you go over there and check out to see what that is. Also, all over your reactions, all movie reactions go into the exclusive tier as well. Elite tier, $50 a month. That gives you a choice of a show that you want me to react to, and I will react to it. It'll go at the back of the list behind about 7 shows, so it might take me a while to actually get round to it, but I will get there eventually. Unless you want to jump the queue and go at the very front, then you want to get God tier, which is $100, and that means that your show will be reacted to next. But that is also, thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.